And when we talk about the migrant crisis, that was the original question. The migrant crisis is a made-up crisis by the federal government. So, I know you in Texas, you see it a lot there. We need to change federal policy, and we got to do it next year by changing the person who's in the White House. We got to change, we got to get the Senate back to more conservative, common sense individuals, and we got to keep the House. Locally, the mayor of New York City, and he's been starting to do this, we need to rescind the policy that we are a sanctuary city. We need to rescind the policy that if you come here from anywhere in the world for whatever reason, you have a 90-day right to shelter. He reduced it to 60. You got to get rid of it, period. Right to shelter are for New Yorkers, for veterans. That was the original intent. It's not to give, not to give free hotel service, free hotel rooms to the world. We need to do that. There are 4 issues with the migrant crisis that, if you have time, I would like to go through each of them individually. And I don't like to go into the weeds, but on this I do. Please. Migrant crisis, number 1. What we see here is children in our schools, and they got a waiver for the vaccines to enter the schools. This is an immediate crisis because the reason that my children, when they went to school in the middle of District 43 at Christa McAuliffe, IS 187, all of our children, they're required to get MMR, they're required to get chickenpox, they're required to get all host of vaccines. And the reason that our children are required to get it is because you want to keep children and adults who have immunocompromised issues. And they can't take the vaccine. You want to protect them, and everybody else gets herd immunity. So now these kids, we need to really step it up, and we need to have vaccine and health clinics in the school. Department of Education spends billions and billions of dollars. They waste a ton of money. We need to focus a little bit of money on solving this problem. We need vaccine clinics. The school nurse has to get trained, give her some extra training on how to give an injection, how to give a vaccine, get her down there, have her give a evaluation of these children, make sure these children have a pediatrician or refer them to one, have a circulating list of pediatricians in the area that they could go to, or clinics. And these children need to be vaccinated in school if they haven't already been done so. That's very important. We got to get that done sooner rather than later. 2, we have children, practically babies, walking in the subways, on the train cars, selling, peddling stuff, candy, trinkets, whatever the heck they are. This is unconscionable. You see them all over the subway. You see them on the streets selling this stuff. We need to have, and this is where NYPD gets into the weeds. We used to call it full enforcement operations, where we would have a day or two where we would enforce every violation. And the purpose of that is to target high crime areas. And then you blanket it with cops, and you give summonses out, and you run names, and you take people out of the system that have warrants, and you get crime down. And you do that for high crime areas or high crime time periods. We need an Operation Save the Children. We need to have centralized locations in the 4 boroughs, Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, and Brooklyn, where cops can go, find these children selling, bring them to the centralized location so they can get, again, medically checked out. You need to get their parents or caregivers over there and say, this is no good. You can't do this anymore. If you do it again, we're going to take your kid and we're going to put their kid in foster care. We need to make sure this kid is enrolled in a school during the school day. They're 6, they're 3, they're 5, they're 9. They should be in school. They shouldn't be peddling stuff. It's illegal for a child to peddle and to work if they're under 14, under any circumstances. So these children need our help, and we need an organized, holistic approach led by the NYPD to address this migrant problem. Now, look, here's the ugly part. Here's the thing that makes me very upset. We see these young children peddling candy. There is a black market for sex trafficking of these children. That's ugly. I mean, thousands of dollars. This kid's worth thousands of dollars as a sex trafficking victim. The NYPD Vice Squad, the technical unit, they need to go in the deep, dark reaches of the web. They need to go where these people are, and they need to see if they can find these children and rescue them. That's 3, and that's very important as well, because we know they're out there. 4, New York City, when I was lieutenant back in the day, prior to de Blasio, we used to cooperate with the federal government, with immigration. I understand that we don't want to harm somebody who's here working, who's doing the right thing, raising his family. Look, he's here. I'm not going to get into the immigration crisis. That needs to be done on the federal level. They need to find a solution. I want a solution for New Yorkers, and that's what I say. I don't say stuff that we can't do. For people who get arrested for violent crimes, or they get arrested again and again and again, maybe those people, we do an e-verify. When the cops arrest them, we do an e-verify and we check to see, are they authorized to be here? Are they here conditionally? Are they waiting for asylum? If you're waiting for asylum, or you're here conditionally, or you're not authorized to be here, and you're committing violent felonies, guess what? You're not of good moral character. When my grandfather came here to be a citizen, you needed to be of good moral character. We need to go back to some form of that. And I'm not saying we want to deport everybody. I'm saying for these people, violent felons, persistent offenders, those people need to be given over to the federal government, and they need to be removed and repatriated back to wherever they came from. 4 things on the migrant crisis. Thank you.
Okay,
Let me take a breather.